I'd like to call this regular February 12th council meeting to order. Would everybody please stand for a moment of silence? And let's remember all of those who passed away during the month. Please salute the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Dillon, you want to do roll call, please?
Mr.
Gerard.
Present.
Mr. Ricchio.
Present.
Mr. Devine.
Here.
Mr. Peasant.
Here.
Ms. Cullen is ill. She called me late this afternoon. Ms. Rodriguez.
Here.
Mr. Catroci.
Present.
Mr. Giuseppe.
Before we get started, I'd just like to send out condolences to the Diaz family, who, their brother passed away, David Diaz, who's related to my husband.
Just to let everybody know, we were in executive session discussing real estate transaction lease that we'll be voting on this evening, number 8 on the agenda. Okay, I'm going to open up public participation. Anybody on this side of the room would like to speak on anything, go to the podium and state your name and address, please.
My name is Jesse Walker, and I'm at 320 Brook Street. And a couple of things. One of the things I just sent an email earlier today to Mr. Dillon and a few other people about the Canadian geese in town. I know there's a lot of Canadian geese, and they have their excrements all over the parks in town. And it would just be great if we could find a way. Probably have to work with the municipalities or the county or other officials to try to reduce the geese population, because the resident geese that are here in the winter are the real issue. They have new babies this spring, and there'll be even more of them around town. And it's, they're eroding the edge of the canal. And you can't sit down without sitting in the goose poop and the ball fields. And, it's in all the towns around the area too. It's not just Bristol Borough, but, if there's any way that you guys can look into some of that. I was talking to some of the people, and they say, obviously it costs money to deal with these things. They deal with various ways to try to get them to go away, or other processes to eliminate the population. It'd be great to look into it, because we want to be able to enjoy our parks and have healthy, be able to play around in them, and also along the canal. They're just covered the whole area. It's not very healthy. So I don't know if you guys have. Supposedly the one USDA person I talked to said the county a few years ago had a program where they were funding to have some of the geese stuff dealt with, the Canadian geese, and I wasn't sure if you guys were aware of that, if they did stuff in town at all.
The county, you're saying?
Yeah, the county.
Well, maybe we could contact the county and find out. I know they're everywhere. I mean, if you go down Rackler Street and you look down behind Lennox, there's thousands of them. So, I mean, I don't know what the solution is, but every year it gets worse. So, if there's a program out there.
Some of that's, the whiter, smaller ones are like the seagulls from the dumps that are out there too. Those are another issue that's different from the Canadian geese, but similar problem. So that'd be great. If you guys can look into it. In the end, it costs money to hire people, but they're saying with the Fish and Wildlife Service, you can get permissions for whoever the property owner is, or the municipality or public property, to do where they go in and they try to deal with the nests, so that when they have nests, you can affect their eggs so that they won't hatch new ones. So there are things that could maybe be done that wouldn't be as costly, with various permissions. I'm not sure.
Well, if you're saying the county has a program, we'll look, we'll check the county tomorrow.
Yeah, the guy said that the county cut the funding now a couple years ago, so they had paid for it and then they cut it. So, but maybe they have information on it. If there's enough interest, maybe they consider starting it up. So.
All right. Anybody?
I don't know if anyone has any other information about it.
Pardon me?
I don't know if other people had information about it, concerns, but great to consider that. And then I guess just the one resolution about mowing the grass in the ball fields, it just seems like it's a lot of money to be cutting the grass for the ball fields.
Well, it's not for
And,
cutting,
and the maintenance part too.
it's
right?
not for cutting the grass.
Okay.
The borough cuts the grass. The contract is from March, I don't know, till the end of maybe October, November. October, I know. Somebody goes there every day, lines the fields, maintains all the fields, removes the trash. So it's,
Bathrooms.
some days cleans the bathrooms, and it's for baseball and soccer, and there's other, like Spanish leagues and different things that he does this for, so.
The
it's-
soccer is at different fields, the Otter Field one?
He does the Otter
Yeah.
Otter Street fields too, so it's a pretty long time, and it's really somebody that's dependable, because every night the field's gotta be ready to play on. And I think if we used our guys, first of all, I don't think we could do it without hiring more manpower. I think the price, in my opinion, is not a lot of money, but it's not for cutting grass.
Okay. Thanks for the clarification.
Anybody else on this side of the room want to speak? Anybody on this side of the room want to speak on anything? That ends public participation. Okay. Joe, do you have anything?
Things. I know we were having some problems with the video system in our last meeting. I just wanted to just reiterate on something that I said about the police calls for last year. We responded to 19,416 calls as a police department last year, which is a little bit over 1,600 calls a month. So even though we're a little borough, 1.5 square miles, our police are out there working very hard every day, which comes out to about, I think, about 50 calls a day. So I just want to make that clear. Also, too, that I talked about the fire department. This was the first time in the last 10 years that the fire department responded to 614 calls, but 316 of those were emergency medical calls, which that's the first time ever. So it was more emergency medical calls than fire calls. Also, too, the Chief Henry and I are reviewing a lot of our records from last year and hope to make some changes in some of the reports that we do. But just some other information that I came across. Last year, non-traffic citations totaled 596, up from 142 in 2017. 1,342 motor vehicle stops were conducted. This does not include the public awareness campaign stops at Mill Street and Ratcliffe Street. So that it's just an indicator of how much work is going on here every day in the police department. Other than that, I do have one thing under, when we get to minutes, a correction under the mayor's.
Does anybody else have anything so we can get started? Okay, number 3 on the agenda.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion for the approval of the council work session and regular meeting minutes of 1/2/18, work session minutes of 2/5/18, accept treasurer's report for November 2017, accept police and DJ's report for December 2017 and January 2018, accept the fire chief's report for December 2017 and January 2018, accept inspection department report for 2017 and January 2018, accept Public Works Department report for December 2017 and January 2018, accept the HARB report and decisions of 12/18 and 17 and 1/29/18.
Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Ricchio. Questions or comments?
Question, Mr. Chairman, under mayor's communication, it's reported that our food drive collected 125,000 pounds of food. We only collected 2,500 pounds. So, anyway, might think that we shortchanged. So it would be 2,500 pounds instead of 125,000. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Before we go to number 4, I just want everybody to know at home, we still are having a problem with Verizon. It's a Verizon problem, and they promised us they would try to have it fixed by this evening. It's still not fixed, so
We being the Borough Channel,
Borough Channel. So a lot of people at home aren't getting a sound from Verizon.
I got a text too that said, and this is Comcast, TV picture's still wavy, not as clear. I got that from my boss.
All right, number 4 on the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize advertisement for Bristol Borough Wireless Facilities Ordinance.
I have a second. Second by Mr. Pezza. Questions or comments? The question I have is, what is this for?
Okay. And you know what, Mr. Cachochi, he asked me the same thing. What this is not, is this has nothing to do with the contracts we have now with Verizon and Comcast regarding our cable, okay? We have an ordinance right now regarding where wireless facilities can go, towers and antennas. Because of the changes in the law and because we're going to see some new technologies coming in soon, I recommended to Mr. Dillon that we need to revamp our entire ordinance, and we went out to someone who specializes in this, and this is the ordinance. So this is going to catch us up, so when this stuff does start, we're going to be in a position to, issue the right permits, charge the right permit fees, et cetera.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 5.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to authorize advertisement for the ordinance for restricted parking on Wood Street.
I have a second. Second by Mr. Ricchio. Questions or comments? Mr. Devine.
Yeah, what exactly are we, what restricted parking on Wood Street? Are we talking?
Company came in, I think you
I
were,
remember.
they're
Gotcha.
parking on one side and,
I remember.
The reason it says restricted is because that's the section of the ordinance. We're actually opening up parking. Right now, the ordinance prohibits all parking on the north side of Wood Street. We're now going to say 70 feet from Market in is restricted because that's across the street from the firehouse, but the rest of the street is going to allow parking. So we're actually increasing on-street parking.
Gotcha.
any other questions or comments? The only thing I would like to say is once this move was made and the signs went up, how long ago, Herbie?
That's about a month.
There are people still getting tickets because the line is yellow. I don't know how we're ticketing, you know what I'm saying? So,
Actually, the people that got tickets that I'm aware of were parking on the north side of the street where it's still restricted. I'm not aware of anybody getting tickets because of the changes that we made, unless they parked there illegally.
all right, so we need to look into this because even if there's still a yellow line until the weather breaks, maybe let the officers know that if they're parked and it's yellow, but they're allowed to park there now. Am I right?
There's a sign that says no parking there.
I know,
think
but the
if-
curb
if-
is still yellow.
Right, but if they take those signs down, that'll go a long way to correcting the problem.
You understand what I'm saying, Chief?
I came up and spoke to Mr. Dillon about this the other day, and I had a map and a diagram and everything. Once you give me in black and white what you want enforced and what you don't want enforced, I'll have no problem doing that, but it's very vague as to what you guys are talking about.
Irving, we're talking about opposite the firehouse, right? From the sign back to Mill Street, that's now
all yellow and no
now all
parking,
yellow, but you can park there.
not legally.
Not legally.
There's a no parking ordinance in place.
But we have to take the signs
This
down.
this is going to change that.
Right.
We're going to open up
Okay,
from
this
70
changes that,
feet
right?
on.
That's what we agreed when we went out and looked at that.
Yes.
So
This actually would allow parking on that side of the street from the Mill Street parking lot to that sign that's opposite the firehouse.
it's opposite the firehouse, right? Okay.
But what I'm saying is the line is still yellow. So even if we take a sign, no matter what we do, we're not going to be able to get rid of the yellow curb at this point. Am I correct? Because we can't do anything till the weather breaks.
There's also a sign posted, no parking in that side of the street.
Okay, so can we get this resolved? Like, I don't think it's fair to people. We're telling them that they can now park there, but don't park on this side. And a couple people got tickets, and I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just saying, you got to give them somewhere to park. I mean, they live there. So either we're going to tell them, leave it go, we won't do anything till the summer, and leave it the way it is, or we need to address this issue. That's all I'm saying. I don't think it's fair to the residents that we're now telling them, don't park on the right side of the street, you can park on the left. But if they park on the left because the curb's painted yellow and there's still a sign, they're getting a ticket. So We need to straighten this out as soon as possible.
A little confused. On the left side of the street, in front of the firehouse,
There's no parking.
right, we're not talking about that.
No, the
We're talking
fire
that-
truck has to make the turn to get
Right,
out.
we're talking below that on the left side of the street.
Going towards, from like Herbie said, from the parking lot all the way up that side, you're now allowed to park on there up until the fire truck needs to make the turn.
And Richie's garage, right, which is,
Well, without, yeah.
yeah.
But the yellow line goes back to, and I'll take a guess, Richie's garage. That's the-
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest with you.
That's,
We're not going to give tickets on that side of the street with, up to that sign.
Well, Herbie, maybe you
we're
can meet,
good on it, just let me know what you want to do.
No, no, I realize.
why don't we get George out there tomorrow? It's gonna be nice out. Let's see if we can correct this sign. I don't know if it's too cold to paint a curb white for now, just throw something down, and let's get this resolved. All right? Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 6.
I'd like to make a motion to approve a 4-year contract from 2018 to 2021 for field maintenance at Jefferson Avenue and Otter Street Fields with Leo Plensky at the rate of $12,000 a year.
Second by Mr. Catroci. Any questions or comments? Mr. Gerard?
Yeah, I have a comment, and my comments are about finances and should not be taken personally. I think the council contract to Mr. Polinsky is way too generous, $1,000 a month, over 230 hours a week for 52 weeks. This contract needs to go out to bid, and that would force Mr. Polinsky to sharpen his pencil, so to speak. And 2 questions for council. Is council aware that Mr. Polinsky does the fields for the school district? And also, does anybody on council know what he is paid to do those services for the school district?
That's a contract with the school. You would have to go there and ask them.
Yeah. Okay, well, it's $250 a month. He makes less than $2,000 a year, and last year he made $1,700. So,
What's this, Dave?
he gets paid $250 a month. He makes less than $2,000 a year, and last year he made $1,700, $1,700. And if this doesn't go out to bid, my vote on this issue will be no. That's all I got.
Any other questions or comments? Tony?
Shouldn't this go out to bid? Doesn't this have to go out to bid?
It doesn't have to go out to bid.
Will the maintenance pertain to, things that we own, like water, a water plant, or a sewer plant, or electric generating plant?
Sorry.
This has never been out to bid.
Okay, but the reason why I ask is, I sent an email to the Pennsylvania Association of Boroughs, after speaking with Dave last week. They're saying that, they don't force it, but their email is saying that something like this should go out to bid, that it's not Leo's not considered a professional, and what they were saying was what I just said about being a public-owned facility like water generating or sewer. They said what he doesn't meet the criteria, and it should go out to bid anything over $10,000.
I thought the number was 19, wasn't there? That's for other projects?
No, it's the same thing. Yeah, so it's,
Or-
Is it a legal vote? We go out, we need to go to bid or no?
my opinion, no.
Okay.
I wish somebody would have brought that up before tonight's meeting.
No, I just got this, so it's.
We can vote, look, we open up in March, so we're only a few weeks away from this. Check into it, and if something has to get rebid or whatever, we gotta do something.
Well, since it's 12,000, you want to do it every year. If it did have to be, you would only have to go out and get 3 quotes. You wouldn't have to advertise a public bid because it's not over 19.4.
I mean, this contracts we've been doing, I mean, was being done way before I got here, so, I mean, it's their family, he's dependable. I don't know who you're gonna get to come there and do what he's doing. What's he get, 12,000? What's it a month, Dave? 1,000 a month?
Well, 1,000 a month at 12,000, yes. 230 hours a week, a little bit more than that.
But what's he doing for the school? Because the school plays on our grounds.
I don't know what he's
So
doing.
Yeah, that's what I
we're
was
paying him to
thinking.
do that, so.
No.
Is he paying like something over in the playgrounds? Is
No,
he-
I don't know.
he gets
Line
paid
practice
from the
field?
school
I don't know his exact,
to line the fields for their games. We don't pay him for that. They pay him to line the fields for their, and get the
Put him on the
field.
Babe Ruth sides.
And the girls softball.
Right.
Okay. But he's doing the maintenance on it, so it's not like we're not both paying for the same things.
Sounds like it.
I just think we can get a better price if we, and I'm not saying take it away from Leo. I have no animosity towards Leo, we get along fine. But, and I go out every day and I'm bidding against people and I got to put numbers down. A lot of times I don't get what I want because there's competition. So, I mean, that's just a fact of life. I'm sure you run into it, Ralph, as a contractor. Hey, Louis, selling products, oh, this guy's selling it, and then how many people come into your store and say, well, I can buy it down the street for cheaper, so. It's just a fact
Here's
of
how I
life,
look
cheaper.
at it, Dave.
I-
Let's say, let's just use pure numbers, forget who the person is, right? $12,000. He does the fields for what, 8 months? All right, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. He may do November, but let's take that off, let's say 8 months. So divide 8 into 12,000. What's that, 1,500? 1,500 a month, all right? Forget about trash and cleaning bathrooms, because you still, let's say it's all involved in this thing. 1,500 divided by 5 weeks.
Listen, I might be wrong.
No, I just
but
wanna
if we
figure
put it
something
up to bid,
out.
I'll find out,
That's
right?
300 a week, all right? 300 a week divide by, he's there at least 6 days a week, if not 7, but I'll take the lower end. That's $50 a day. He's out there a minimum of 4 hours? So he's making about, what, $12 an hour to do it?
That's better.
So, I don't know who's gonna work for less than $12 an hour. If it's 15, if it took him 3 hours, it's $15 an hour. And he's gotta claim it, don't forget. He gets a 1099, so it's not, he's putting his money in his pocket. He's gotta pay tax and he's gotta provide the borough with insurance. I don't need to get somebody to clean the bathrooms all week for $50. So as far as I'm concerned, I know how I'm voting. Any other questions or comments?
He does have some of his own equipment too. He's not using our equipment.
All right.
Well, I mean, the thing about it is, he's probably, you're saying 8 months, it's probably more like 6 months.
No,
that
it's
he's
more
done
than
it.
6 months.
And
Then
then-
he does soccer.
I know, and then the other thing that's on top of it is, our guys already cut the grass. I mean, that's the lion's share of the job. I mean, they're cutting the grass. I mean, to think that we can't get somebody in, and again, like Dave's saying, it has nothing to do with Leo, whoever's doing it.
No, I said forget the
Right, that's what I'm
person.
saying.
Use just pure
So
numbers.
if you put it out there, and when you say, I don't think there's anybody that would be able to do it for $12 an hour or $50 a day, I think that there are plenty of people who are struggling that would love to be able and capable of doing that job.
You think so?
Absolutely.
We
I mean,
can't even get a crossing guard. We're hiring people from Croydon because nobody in town wants these crossing guard jobs. And they get paid 3 hours for working 45 minutes in the morning and 45 in the afternoon.
Well, if you could make $1,000 a month, and I think it's probably closer to 6 months, so you're really making $2,000 a month, I think that you would get a lot of people excited about going out there and doing that job, especially since our crew is already cutting the grass there. And there's been plenty of times where our crew is picking up the trash and cleaning up around the bleachers and everything else. If we're gonna be realistic about it, if we're gonna be honest with ourselves.
I am being honest.
But that's what I'm saying, it's not, I mean, to think that he goes out there every day for 4 hours is a little, it's a little much. When our guys are out there
cutting the grass.
Ever go watch him get every field raked and ready for games?
He's got to grade the fields.
He's got to
too.
grade them every day.
Right, and people do it all the time in other counties and other, places that have baseball fields, and they're not paying $14,000 a year.
It's 12.
It's 12 for us, and he makes another 2 from the school.
12, and he cleans the bathrooms and picks up trash.
They're nasty.
So what's that worth?
For somebody,
Questions or comments? Let's do a roll call vote.
Mr. Gerard,
No.
Mr. Ricchio,
No.
Mr. Devine,
no.
Mr. Peasant,
Yes.
Ms. Cullen, absent. Ms. Rodriguez.
Yes.
Mr. Catroci.
Yes.
Mr. Di Giuseppe.
Absolutely. Motion carries.
4-3.
Number 7.
Number 7, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the engineer to solicit bids for roadway improvements along Basin Street. Do you want me to repeat it?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to authorize the engineer to solicit bids for roadway improvements along Basin Street.
Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Catroci. Questions or comments? Mr. Devine?
Yeah, where is Basin Street?
Down the hill at the river where behind the King George,
Mm-hmm.
you make a right there to go to the parking lot, that area.
Oh, okay.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 8.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the solicitor to prepare a draft lease agreement for lease of portions of borough property number 04-018-035 and 034 to Burger Garage located to 100 Old Route 13, number 04-018-036, not an approval, but a concept for the future approval for the Borough Council.
Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Ricchio. Questions or comments? Mr. Devine?
Yeah, I have a comment. Kevin, I have no problems of, having a lease put in place or whatever, those things. I think that the problem that I have is that it's going to open up the floodgates of other people that are going to want to lease property that the borough has and kind of connect it. So I think, I would love, the project sounds like a good project, something that I would be interested in, eating and partaking in. I would like to be able to see it, as we talked about before, is, like a proof of concept before we even, you're kind of putting the cart before the horse. See if it's going to, work before we have to go in and open up a can of worms and leasing out, the ground.
I gave a concept. I got 3D renderings, I got I got everything lined up, just waiting for the approval. I'm spending $18,000 of my own money to improve that property.
Kevin, why don't you go to the podium
I'm sorry.
and start over?
I'm sorry. I'm spending $18,000 of my own money to approve that property. Not to be that way, but I'm not worried about anybody else because I'm contributing to my community by bringing something else in other than the detail shop. I'm going to maintain the property. It's going to be cleaned for. It's going to be taken care of. I really don't know what else you would need to make you happy. What else are you asking for?
Well, it's not the idea of making it, is it something do you need that property in order to get started with your business?
Absolutely.
Oh, you do?
Without outdoor eating today, it's not a sell. That's the big thing today. Eating outside, out back the King George, out back the old Bristol house. You got the canteen and people want to eat outside from March to November. And I think it's pretty reasonable. It's going to be contained. It's going to be safe. It's going to be legal. It's going to drain properly. It's all been set up. Just waiting for approval and move forward with the lease.
Any other questions or comments? Kevin, just to give you an overview of discussion, which We were back there discussing for about a half hour. I think, first of all, and correct me if I'm wrong with this, as far as the burger garage, you have a right to get started on that tomorrow without borough property. You still gotta go get your permits and HARB and all the things you need. So if you're looking to get something started and be open by a certain date, we don't wanna hold you up while you're waiting. So the question I had for the solicitor was, can they get started with what they want to do, even if this doesn't happen on the borough ground? The second question was, maybe start slow, and instead of pavers and retaining walls and all this, maybe just put out some tables your first year and see if it really works before you invest maybe another $50,000 or more in retaining walls and pavers, and Joe was saying about heating the sidewalk and gas lines, because this stuff in this lease agreement will either have to be removed at your expense or become, like, let's say that you don't make it. What happens to all this?
We remove it.
Well, that's what I'm saying, so then you're gonna have to put up an escrow. There's gonna be a lot of things in here that you're gonna need to do, and we're trying to make it as easy as possible for you.
Whatever it takes.
So what I'm saying is, if you want to get started, I know both of you guys talked about being open for this season. I think you have a right to get started in your garage without using the borough's property at this point.
Yeah, well, we already started. We got our ADA kitchen already approved, everything, ADA bathrooms, everything's ready to go.
Well, I don't know who's approving it, because the plans, you need to get plans into you know what I'm saying? You need drawings.
Okay?
You need everything submitted to the borough, and then the borough will turn around. It's like a job. You submit everything to the borough, they review it, they come back with comments saying, okay, this works, this doesn't work. And if you have an architect, they know all the rules and ADA regulations. But I don't know, you keep saying approved. I don't know who's approving this stuff.
We're working on the Board of Health right now with our kitchen, like the inside. I
Okay.
got Anthony Fabuloso taking care of that for us right now, getting our kitchen approved so we can cook in there. And he came up with a whole plan and a schematic
Right.
of a whole layout, and is in the process of being submitted to
the Board of
them.
Health.
We're waiting for a
Right.
response.
Now, when you get that, you'll submit all that stuff to the borough, I guess.
Yes, absolutely. All the paperwork's lined up and ready to go.
Okay. And the last question I have for you is, did you put any thought into what it's worth a month? We asked you that last month, and council said you dropped off the diagrams and all, but nothing about what you think it's worth.
1,000 a year, 5-year lease?
Okay, they just wanted to hear what you think it's worth.
1,000 a year, 5-year lease?
You, all right. Because council gave me a number in a back room, I'm thinking maybe just let that go for now, unless,
That's fine.
all right.
What's being worked on tonight is,
All's being.
Well, we're voting on it, not
The
on a
only thing being
number.
voted on tonight is to have the solicitor prepare
draft
a
lease
draft
agreement.
lease agreement to get everybody from council as something that they want in this lease, to present to Mr. Brannigan and his partner, so that they can review it and come back and say, we're in agreement with this, we're not in agreement with that. But the longer this goes back and forth, the longer it's going to take. That's why I'm saying to Kevin, if you want to get started without the borough ground, and I think the easier, and I'm trying to give you guidance here, the easiest way is to not worry about pavers and retaining walls and gas lines and fire pits, because that's going to take, you're going to have to go for stormwater management. So there's a lot involved with this, once you start doing that. But if that's going to make or break the deal, then we're going to have to work through that process. So let us get the solicitor hopefully next week. He has something to show you, because we know you want to fast track this.
Yeah, we want to get moving.
So he's going to, he's heard from council tonight in executive session, what everybody had to say. So, we'll do a draft, we'll get it to council for their review, and then we'll submit you something hopefully early next week or by the end of next week. All right?
Cool, thank you very much, council.
All right. Nobody else has questions for Kevin? No. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So, do you have something under new business, you said?
No, I'm good.
Anybody else have anything?
Motion adjourned.
By Tony, second by Betty.